Okay, yesterday we learned the din of Pidyon Haben. Okay, and we're discussing the various different cases about doing a Pidyon Haben at night. You need to wait until the 31st day and things like that. Okay, we also learned it's appropriate to make a Suda, and at the beginning of the Suda, the Kohen makes or somebody makes a bracha be'pi al-gafen, and then you do the Pidyon Haben and you move on. Now, what happens if the father's not there, or the father is not near the baby? A simple case: the father is deployed overseas, or he's at whatever. He's not home for the Pidyon Haben. So what do you do? So, there's a big machlekes in halacha what you do, but most people paskin that the father doesn't need the baby present to do a Pidyon Haben, to redeem the firstborn. It's his obligation. So normally if the baby's there, you say, yeah, this is the baby and the kohen. So you just have to change the text. You say, my wife gave birth to a firstborn child and I need to redeem him, and I want to redeem him. Because there's a whole argument, could you do it through a shliach? Is it better to do it near the baby with a shliach than without a baby, without a shliach and not near the baby? So most poskim say it's better to do it, the father himself, not near the baby, and it's not a problem. What happens though if the father can't do a Pidyon Haben? For instance, either the father passed away before the baby hit 30 days, or before they had a chance to redeem him, or another case, which, believe it or not, lighter happens, the father's not Jewish. Father's not Jewish, the mother's Jewish, so the kid's Jewish. The kid needs a Pidyon Haben. Okay, the kid needs a Pidyon Haben, so therefore, but there's no father to do the Pidyon Haben. So then the halacha is that Bais Din, or the rabbi of the city, they do the Pidyon Haben for the child. You don't wait until the child's 13 years old and then they do it for themselves. If for whatever reason it is, let's say the father was a guy and the mother had a baby and they didn't know anything, and then the kid grew up and never had a Pidyon Haben. So then the kid realizes he needs to do a Pidyon Haben. So after bar mitzvah, then the kid has an obligation himself to do a Pidyon Haben. But until bar mitzvah, if there's no father, either because the father passed away or because the father's a guy, or any other reason, so then the din is, Bais Din does it, or the Rav, whoever it is, does it instead of it. And you can't say, obviously, my wife gave, so you say, this kid is a bechor. You just, fix it, the lashon, what you need. Because there's no Pidyon Haben chiyuv on the mother. The same thing with a bris milah. The Gemara learns out, one who has to be redeemed has the mitzvah of redeeming. One who has to do an obligation of a bris could do a bris. So the mother actually has no obligation to do a bris on her child. The obligation is on the father, or if there's no father, the Bais Din, and if there's no Bais Din, then the kid has to do a bris himself when he becomes of age. I know Tzipora did it. I didn't say that a woman cannot do a bris. They have no obligation to do it. They have no obligation to do a bris. Lepeil, you can't bring a proof from Tzipora anyway necessarily, because it was before Matan Torah. You couldn't. The Gemara says they made Matan Torah. You don't learn dinim. The Rambam says clearly that the reason why we do a bris milah on a kid is not because Avraham Avinu did a bris, even though the father makes a bracha lachnisi bevrisa shel Avraham Avinu. But the reason, Rambam says clearly, the reason why we do a bris today is not because Hashem told Avraham Avinu, because that was before Matan Torah. Before the Torah was given, you can't learn out any dinim like that. The only reason we do a bris is in Parshas Tazri, it says, B'yayim hashmini yimol b'sar alosei. On the 8th day, you have to do a bris. But not because of Hashem told Avraham Avinu to do a bris. So the halacha is a woman is clearly not obligated in Pidyon Haben. In fact, he says that so in okay, whatever. No, in Shchnarch it says, I'm pretty sure Kitzur brings it down. Also, hey, mein Chayv Liptei says, Bina, she's not obligated at all to do it. And therefore, if the father died, let's say, or the father's a guy, so then the mother has an obligation. Bais Din has an obligation to do it. No, the kid has to wait until he's an adult to do it himself. But Cloud the Taz holds, I mean, we don't pass like the Taz. The Taz holds that if there's no father, the kid does it, nobody does it until the kid's 13. Then he does it himself. The Shach is necessarily paskin that the Bais Din does it.
The mother is not allowed.
No. But the grandfather, the paskin right, could do it. Let's see, the father's father could do the Pidyon Haben.
Not the mother's father?
No. Because again, if the mother's not mechuyev, his father, her father's also not mechuyev. Okay, then there's a whole shalas that what happens if the kid dies after 30 days, but they didn't do a Pidyon Haben yet? So, do you have to do a Pidyon Haben? The kid died, but there was an obligation to a Pidyon Haben. So the paskim right, you do it. The Rambam writes, you do a Pidyon Haben, you make a brach Pidyon Haben, but you don't make shechionu. You can't make shechionu. Shechionu for a simcha.
If there was no Pidyon Haben, what's the problem? There's no problem. It belongs to the claim.
No, but there's an obligation on the father to do a Pidyon Haben.
The father can't say, Kayan, enjoy.
No, we said that yesterday, or whatever it was. No, if father's too cheap,
right,
or he doesn't like his kid, who's a newborn basically, and the father says to the Kayan, keep the kid.
Can't do that.
Nope. Father has an obligation to, let's say, God forbid a child's sick, yeah? And the father doesn't think he can handle it. Permanent illness. You can't say, it's okay, Kayan, you keep the kid. Instead of giving him up for adoption somewhere, you take the kid. You can't do that. The father has a chiv to do Pidyon Haben.
So in this case, if the baby Chas v'Shalom passed away, that the
Right.
father owes who? The Kayan? Like who's he indebted to? I guess it's
To a Kayan. He can give it, he has what's called Toivas Hano. He can give it to any Kayan he likes. For instance, even Truma, Mais, all the tithing that you have to give to the Kayan, right? Now, you can't be, if you're a Kayan, you can't come to me and grab the stuff and say, hey, it's mine. I have the right, it's called Toivas Hano, I have the biblical option to give it to the Kayan of my choice.
That's what you might say. You can select wherever you want to.
Yeah, but now what happens though? The Kayan came and said, I'm chapping it. He grabs it. He says, listen, you have to give it to a Kayan. I'm a Kayan. So the din is the Kayan would have to pay the value of pleasure that the father has to pick the Kayan of his choice.
Wow. Is there a sugya on how that's evaluated?
Yeah. So machlekes Toivas Hano, is it mammon? Is it not mammon? But he's not allowed to do it. The Kayan, it's wrong for the Kayan to do it.
So if the baby, the example you just gave is only if the baby passed away after 30 days. Under 30 days, there's no Pidyon Haben that he had.
Correct. If a baby passes away before 30 days, then there's no Pidyon Haben. Then there's an interesting Neder B'Yehuda. What happens if... No, I'm sorry, the Mashal, not the Neder B'Yehuda. Okay, the Mashal writes, what happens if a child was very sick within 30 days, and they said basically he's not going to make it. He's not going to make it for 30 days. And the kid made it for 30 days. So the din is he still has to do a Pidyon Haben. Because bottom line is, that's what the Mashal holds. Other poskim disagree, and they say no, because he was already a nefil before, even though he lived Lepel 30 days. You have the same din, and this came up a number of times. A baby under 30 days, we discussed the other day, there's no Shiva, there's no Avelus, because they don't have a Chazaka being alive yet. Okay? What happens if a baby is born with an illness that the doctor, he cannot live long? Okay? He's for sure not going to live. And the child lives more than 30 days. Miraculously, the kid lived more than 30 days. It happens a lot of times. Doctors say the kid's going to live a week or 2 weeks, whatever. So then there's a machlekes and halacha, is there shiva for that kid or not? From one side, you look at it, the kid lived 30 days. Again, the kid lived 30 days. Another din, no, he had a din of a not existing person. And the same thing, by the way, with this, because the Mashal, we said that Chacham Shleima hold, in this case, you would have to do opinion of Ben, and Elif L'chal Shleima holds, you don't have to do opinion of Ben, because he never had a din of a human being. Where is it a din of a nafel? Because the doctor said he's not going to make it. He's not going to live. So that it's not only in Pidyon Ben, it goes into other dinim also. What? One second. What?
How when these guys were, the rabbis were alive, they knew who's gonna make it past 30 days, who's not gonna make it past.
No, he had doctors in those days. They had doctors in those days too.
Right.
If the Gemara says you're not allowed to live in a city without a doctor,
Right.
it's brought down in halachos. So obviously they had a doctor. In Chumash, when after Yaakov Avinu died, it says Yosef told the doctors, Timbal Mesad, Lachnei Tasaviv. So it had doctors.
They would decide, they would say, this kid can make it, this kid's not going to make it.
Doctors, evaluation, you go by the doctors of the time. Now there's a lot of halachic issues because of today's medical advancements, certain things Torah said would not be able to live, and today they do live. I'll give you a simple example. According to Torah, a baby could be born after 7 months or after 9 months. A baby that's born in the 8th month, in Gemara Shulchan Aruch, it's relevant in Hilchos Shabbos, if you could be Machal Shabbos, a kid that's born in the 8th month cannot live. It can't live. Either 7 or 9, that's it. In fact, according to halacha, the kid's muktzah. I mean, the whole. Okay, Lepel today, kids are born premature a month, 6 weeks early, and they survive very well. So obviously today would be a different thing because the fact changed. Not the halacha changed, the fact changes. And if the fact changes, then, then it's not halacha changing. Halacha says, as a rule, a baby in the 8th month can't live. But if they have things that make it live, incubators and all that stuff that can do it, so then the halacha change. Not the halacha change, the facts change. And therefore it would be a different din. Okay.